Today on the Sartorial Chef, it is a light Italian feast. We're kicking things off with my Panzanella Salad with a balsamic vinaigrette. Next, for our side, roasted asparagus with fresh garlic and lemon. And lastly, for the entree, it is my famous chicken piccata, fried to perfection. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me?
I've got another Italian feast on the way. It is my chicken piccata with roasted asparagus and a Panzanella salad. And we are beginning with the Panzanella salad. I have got about a half loaf here of Italian bread that I have just cut up, and I like to go to the grocery and look for like day-old bread, anything like that, because we're going to crisp this up in the oven. So we want something that's not like stale, but it's kind of got some texture to it, you know. And a lot of times groceries will mark down their bread when, you know, it's started to go stale, and you can pick it up pretty inexpensively. And I have just diced this up into little cubes. I've got some olive oil here, and I'm just coming in with clean hands and tossing this together. Now this is going to go into the oven. I've got it at 400 degrees, and it's just going to go in for about 8 to 10 minutes. We just want to get it nice and crisp. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer here. And we're going to move on to the vinaigrette next. I love to do the vinaigrette first, and then I can just throw my veggies in and throw my bread in and put it all together. Okay, so for the vinaigrette, it's about a half a cup of olive oil. Alrighty, a half a cup of olive oil, then about 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Balsamic's pretty strong, guys, so we don't need too much of that. I've also got some Dijon mustard here. About a teaspoon of the Dijon. That looks pretty good. And I've got some minced garlic here. We're going to do a tablespoon of the minced garlic. And I love using fresh garlic. Just smells delicious. And then lastly, some salt and some pepper. So about a teaspoon of salt and about a half teaspoon of black pepper. And then we are just going to give this a good whisk. Yes. Alright guys, and that is our dressing. Now I'm going to move on to our vegetables here. I'm starting with some tomatoes. These are just grape tomatoes. And I want to show you guys a really fun trick to cutting tomatoes. If I'm just doing a few or something, I'll just cut them by hand. Or sometimes I like to leave them whole, like the cherry tomatoes. But sometimes cutting these tomatoes can be a little tedious. So my trick here, you take 2 plates and stack them like that. And that is going to hold your tomatoes in place. And then you just come through here with your knife. And then you have, your tomatoes are all sliced in half. So that's just going to go right into the bowl here. And that's just one little package of tomatoes. I also have a cucumber here. Just 1 cucumber. This is a really nice kind of like rustic salad. It's a great side. I mean, you can serve it as itself, but I love whenever I'm doing Italian. Sometimes I like to venture away from like the traditional salad, and this is kind of something different. And you can kind of put whatever veggies you want into it. I just like to stick with fresh veggies here. Something that's going to have a lot of texture and color to the dish. And I'm just cubing these little dices. I kind of want everything to be the same size so it eats the same. So I'm kind of trying to cut everything similar size to like the bread and everything. And then next, my red onion. I'm only going to use about half of this red onion. The red onion can be strong, so we don't need as much of it. Just take the peel off. And then we're just going to dice this guy here. Okay, that's going to go into the bowl with the rest of our veggies. And some peppers. I have got both yellow and orange pepper. Sometimes I do the green or I do the red, but I figure the tomato and the cucumber is already red and green. So I thought the yellow and the orange would be nice, and then we'll have like all of our colors. Now what I like to do with peppers is I'll come along the top and score it all the way across, and then you dig your knife down in there, and then you pull this right out. You've got your membrane on your seeds, and then I just give this a little tap to get the rest of the seeds out. And then we can turn this guy upside down. And slice it off. I'm just going to come in here first and do some little julienne strips, and then I'm going to come back around and dice that up. Okay, that is our yellow pepper. And now the orange pepper. And the orange pepper. Okay. Alright guys, this is coming together nicely. So colorful. I just have a few other things here. We're gonna add some capers, and these are just non-peril. I'm gonna drain some of this liquid here. We do not need that in our salad. Okay, and I'm just gonna do a couple tablespoons of the capers. And I like to just do this over the sink in case I have any more juice in here. And just one more. Okay, that's three tablespoons. And then I've got some black olives here. And these olives, I got the small, so I'm just going to put them in whole. They're similar in size to the bread and the tomato, so I'm not going to worry about cutting them up. And that is it for the vegetables, and our bread is ready to come out. Oh yes. Look at this bread, guys, nice and toasty. So, I am just going to give this a little stir here with the vegetables and the vinaigrette first. What's great about this salad, you throw the warm bread in, and it just really gives life to everything. And the bread, you want it nice and crispy because it is going to soak up some of this dressing, and it makes it just a nice, thick, luscious salad. So that's looking pretty good, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and let this bread right down in here. Awesome. Yeah, the bread is perfect. And then I'm just going to give this another stir with the bread in here. Now you can eat the salad now as is, but it's also good if you let it sit for a little while and really let that bread take in that dressing, and then everything just comes together nicely. Okay, and that is our panzanella. I'm just going to let this chill in the fridge for a minute, and we're going to move on to the main dish. Alright guys, we are back, and we are on to the main course, the chicken piccata. So I've got my mallet here, and I've got my chicken. These are just 2 large chicken breasts, and I'm going to give them a good pounding. Now we want this chicken to be flat, but we don't want to pulverize it. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing out into the side, and I'm using plastic wrap here to keep my cutting board clean and help keep the mallet from sticking to the chicken. And basically piccata, it's a fried chicken with a kind of a lemon sauce. And you want to pound the chicken nice and thin so it cooks through without your the breading getting too dark. And I would say that's pretty good. We'll move on to the other one. Okay, so we've got our chicken pounded out nice and thin. Onto my dredging station. I have got about 4 eggs here with a little bit of water. And then I've got my flour mixture. This just has some salt and pepper in here, little Italian seasoning, a little cayenne for some heat. And then I'm just going to come into the flour first and just do a light kind of base coat on the chicken. And then I like to double dip, so I'm going to come in here and do the egg wash. And then I'm going to go back and get more flour. And I've also, I also have a little cornstarch in this flour as well, and that's really going to give us a nice crispiness to this chicken. And then we're just going to lay this right in. Oh, and you can hear that sizzle, guys. That is exactly what we want here. And on to our other piece of chicken here. Into the flour. both sides. And then into the egg wash. And back into the flour. And this guy is ready for the oil. Alright. Hey guys, I've got some asparagus here that I have washed. And I'm just going to cut the stems off here. And this is going to be our side dish. I'm going to roast it in the oven and it's going to be delicious. And I'm just going to lay this onto my sheet pan. And to this I'm going to add some olive oil, about 2 tablespoons, about 3 or 4. That looks good. And then I've got some garlic here, just some minced garlic. I'm going to do about a tablespoon or so of this, and just sprinkle that right over top. I've also got a lemon here. Now I'm using the lemon for the piccata sauce, but I'm going to zest some here for the asparagus. It's going to give it a nice bright note. And I'm just going to do a few teaspoons of this here. Alright, that's good. And then just make sure you come here and get this guy in the back. And then lastly, I've got a little bit of crushed red pepper just to give it some heat. Use this sparingly because it is hot, so do as much or as little of that as you want. Or you can leave it out too. And then I'm just going to do a little salt, a few dashes of salt, and then we're just going to toss this together, clean hands. And then this is going to go right into the oven. I have preheated the oven to 425 degrees. These are going to roast for about 12 to 15 minutes, and they're just going to get nice and tender and delicious. Okay, so our asparagus is in the oven, and our chicken is ready to flip. Now, the way you can tell about your chicken is your oil, you're going to lose some of that sizzle, some of that music that's going on. That's when you know your chicken's ready to flip. One thing I hate is like constantly flipping and flipping. You're losing heat and you're losing color. And you can see that our chicken has a beautiful color on it, and we are just going to let that other side get nice and golden brown as well. Alright, the chicken is ready to come out of the pan. I've just turned it down to low. And I've just got a plate here with a paper towel so we can blot any grease. Now, of course, we know chicken needs to be 165. This I stopped about 160 because it's going to continue to cook a little as it sits here on the plate. Now this pan, as you can see, has some lovely, lovely brown goodness going on in here. So to that, I've got a little flour here, and we're just going to make a quick roux. And this is what's going to thicken up our sauce. And a roux is just a French word for a thickening agent. So anytime you have like butter or oil and you add flour to it, you stir it up, it's going to give you kind of like a glue. And it's a good base for any kind of sauce, like a gravy or a cheese sauce, anything like that. And you just want to stir it really good and kind of get all the flour to cook down a little bit. And then we can move on to our piccata sauce. I've got some lemon here. I'm just going to juice this lemon from earlier and just kind of hold my hands over top and catch any seeds that come out. And I'm going to do the whole lemon. This sauce is really bright and really acidic, but it's also very luscious too because you have all the pan drippings from your chicken. And I've got some white cooking wine here. We're just going to do about a 1/4 cup of the white cooking wine. And then we're going to let that kind of reduce. Let those flavors kind of cook down. And then to really give this sauce some body, I've got some chicken stock here, and we're going to do about a 1/4 cup of the chicken stock. Alright, this is really coming together, guys, beautifully. Now to finish off our sauce, I've got a little garlic here. I don't want to put this in too early because the garlic will burn, so I'm going to do about a couple teaspoons of garlic. And I've also got some capers here, left over from our salad, and we're going to do a couple teaspoons of capers as well. And the garlic and the capers, it's going to give it a nice, bright, kind of salty note. And that's really what's going to make this a delicious piccata sauce. And then lastly, I'm just going to finish this off with a little Parmesan. We're just going to do about a 1/4 cup of the Parmesan, and that's really just going to give this a nice, luscious, creamy note. And just stir that in and let all those flavors continue to meld together. And a little pepper here. About a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and about a teaspoon of salt. And I'd say we're ready to go. Our asparagus should be coming out of the oven now. Oh yes. Check this out, guys. You can see that it's really roasted nicely. It smells amazing. You can smell the lemon and the garlic and the pepper. It's just absolutely stunning. Okay, the only thing left to do now is to plate up. Nice, gorgeous piece of chicken here. And then I'm just going to get some of this delicious piccata sauce here. And I'm going to spoon that right over top. And this is just a very simple sauce. You just take all those delicious flavors you've built from frying the chicken, add a few things, stir it up. Beautiful. And some of this asparagus. A very simple dish too. I mean, very low maintenance. Goes in the oven, forget about it. And before I forget, we've got my Panzanella salad from earlier. And I have just been letting this chill in the fridge while we assembled the rest of our dish. Let me get just a little bowl here for our salad, and that's going to go right into this little bowl here. And what's great about this, it's, you know, just fresh veggies. It's very easy. Just put the vinaigrette together, you mix everything up. It's all about knife cuts, and then the bread, of course. Alright, I've got my fork here. Let's try the salad first. Yes. Mmm. 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 Yes. Mmm. The vegetables are still nice and crunchy, but they've started to get a little tender from the vinaigrette. The bread is beautiful. It really soaks in all those flavors. You bite into the bread and it just bursts freshness. Mmm. So good. A nice, simple, easy, elegant, and good for you side dish. Now, for the piece de resistance, our chicken piccata. Now I checked it with the thermometer. We got to about 160 and it should have finished cooking those extra 5 degrees as I let it rest. And I'm just going to cut into this. Oh yes, you guys. Mmm. Nice, crispy, golden brown, beautiful piece of chicken. Mmm. Oh yes. Absolutely delicious. Mmm. And that sauce, it kind of has like some chicken gravy notes, but it's very fresh with the capers and the lemon and the garlic. It just really, really sings. Mmm. Alright, now let's try our asparagus. I'm not huge on asparagus, but I do like roasted asparagus. I think it does really well in the oven. It gets nice and tender. And the lemon and the garlic and everything is just perfect. Mmm. 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 Yeah, so good. It's got a little texture to it, but it's nice and tender. Real easy on the tooth. You've got that lemon, that garlic, that red pepper. Just a little heat, a little acidity. So good, you guys. Perfect Italian meal. So, once again, you have been dining with the Sartorial Chef. Until next time.